How's it going, my little daffodils? And thank you so much for joining me yet again on this second part of my Afghanistan retreat cartoon. Um, if you haven't seen the first part, definitely go back and check that one out. It is basically the penciling and coloring of the piece. This one is just all about the ink, and for the most part, I use the Staedtler fine liner from I believe point 0.3 all the way up to 1.2, which is a great thickness. It don't want to drop any shade, but they did it first, and then all of a sudden Micron decided to release one that was the same thickness, I believe, as well as a 1.0. No coincidence, guys. I mean, Seller had that thing going for a long time, and they're great. I love them. So anyway, here we go. In the previous video, I had mentioned that I was thinking about digitally adding in these letters, but I decided to do it by hand. My handwriting is not the best, as you can tell, but I think it's good enough, for cartoon work. My editor doesn't complain, so why should anybody else? So here we go. Colors were pretty much already soaked in. I believe I let this dry overnight. I don't know if you necessarily have to do that. Most likely you don't, but I just didn't want to take any risks. I know sometimes the inks that I use, because I wasn't sure if I was going to keep the fine liner or if I was going to break out the old Sable Hair #2 and dip pen. But fine liners, there's a lot to be said for them. I enjoy them. And so, I don't know. For those that are not familiar with what is going on, and if you just jumped into this one without seeing the first one, the U.S. decided to pull out of Afghanistan after a long time. There's obviously a huge amount of questions as to why we were even there to begin with. A lot of people have a lot of feelings. If you are one of those people with a lot of feelings, please let me know. I actually want people to write in and discuss and either thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever it is, that you feel like you need to do to express yourself. But I do want to hear from you. The take that I took on it is basically that after the U.S. pulls out and has made so many people assets, and the Taliban know who those assets are, those assets will be punished. I mean, it's not that hard of a concept. Now, obviously, there is amnesty that can be offered, and there are multiple ways that those people can get out from a potentially dangerous situation. However, you have to keep in mind where the country is, man. I mean, people in Afghanistan do not just pack up and leave. They didn't pack up and leave when the Russians came knocking, and they're not going to leave just because the Taliban is consistently there threatening them. Again, I had mentioned that I had posted this originally on Facebook, as I oftentimes do, because I have a deadline, and the publisher or the editor needs it. So the cartoons are actually quite on time. They're timely. By the time you guys see it on YouTube, there's a lot of gaps. Sometimes it's up to a month. But that's just because I'm really bad at this, to be honest. I mean, I like video production and all that, but this is kind of like tedious, and I oftentimes don't know what to say, so I kind of don't want to do it as often. But this one, obviously it's a bigger issue at hand, and I needed to get something out. They tend not to do that well, I'll be honest. The views on these things do not exactly wow my eyes, and they don't blow my socks off. But nonetheless, it's important, and I really do like to get it out as often as I can. But if you feel that this is an erroneous judgment call and that there is nothing to be worried about, please let me know. I had a couple of people on Facebook who are natives of Afghanistan saying that this is all basically propaganda, there's nothing to worry about, and that the US caused this problem, and when they go, it'll be all fixed. Now, I have a very hard time believing that. I think if they could name a social program or an elementary school that the Taliban built in Afghanistan, my worries would be gone. But the fact is, I don't think they can, because that's not what they're all about. Women and children are basically going to be the ones that suffer the most. It's no big secret that girls tend to have a harder time in Afghanistan than boys. And I just don't want to have to see, 5, 10 years from now, some big expose in the New York Times and Washington Post saying because the U.S. withdrew, there's X amount of deaths of little kids. Though I have a feeling that's exactly what we're going to see down the road. How do you feel about it? And as always, I'm really curious about how you guys take things. What's your understanding and what do you think about the whole situation? Or do you not care? Because, there's plenty of people out there that don't care. Plenty of people that are like, we shouldn't have been there in the first place. It's basically a bunch of rocks and mountains, and that's about it. So that doesn't affect me. Let me know how you feel. And while you're at it, please subscribe and like the video if you do. So, anyway, as I was saying, this is the inking portion. The alcohol markers had been dried for over a day, and I decided to just ink it up. I love the ink of the Stedler. I think it's so nice. It's so smooth. I never really liked the Pigma microns. They always seem to slip out of my hand, and I'm not sure exactly why that is. I think it may be the construction of the barrels. They're very smooth, but with the Stedlers, and this is definitely not a sponsored video by any stretch of the imagination, but the Stedlers just have a tactile feel to them, and they just don't fall out of your hand as often. Now, I tend to goof around a lot. I do drop the pen. I do like to twirl things. So every so often you'll get like an interesting little line, and people are like, well, what's that all about? Well, it's a mistake, but I kept it in because I just don't feel like whiting it out. I do have to say that the ink on top of the Prisma marker as well as the Winsor Newton Pro markers, it really adds a lot. I love how it just sort of pops it out. It's great. It reminds me of cell animation to some extent. If you're to be able to do watercolor and 2D animation, I like that contrast of super dark clean lines with sort of watery marker watercolor look. To all the gun freaks out there, yes, these are not real guns. They're sort of modeled after various things. Yeah, like that one guy's got sort of like a pump action shotgun with a clip. Or a magazine. The other guy has something that kind of looks like an AK-47 but with no wood stock. So please don't bite my head off. I'm not a gun freak to that extent. I like to keep things goofy and weird, and just sort of get the point across more than anything else. Accuracy and authenticity, it's pretty tough in the cartoon world, folks. There are many, many stories to be told and many people to ridicule. I would love your help and support by liking and subscribing. Please keep that in mind. And I just want to hear from you, to be honest. I just want to hear what you guys think about this. If you have any questions about technique or approach, I'm definitely down for it. And here's the final cartoon. It was published a while ago. I should actually start dating these, I think. I think I should start putting the dates on them. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe when you get a chance, and I will see you on the next one. Peace out, guys.